started. Everything okay, Michael? Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone. Just housekeeping in general. Wi-Fi password, network password, username. The pro tip is to use Internet Explorer. Chrome doesn't like to redirect. I'm not sure how Safari does, but if you are going to kind of participate in the Workout Wednesday, you might want to get that set up now. I'll give everyone a moment. Pause. Okay. So we always like to start off every Tableau user group. I guess the first question is, raise your hand if this is the first time you've ever been here. I know there's a couple of you. Okay, perfect. Raise your hand if you've come more than twice. Okay, so for you newbies, all the people that just raised their hand, if Michael and I don't get to talk to you tonight, talk to the people that just raised their hand. They're the community people that keep coming back, so if you have any questions and we're unavailable, feel free to ask them why they show up, what they've learned, and any burning questions that you might have. I'm happy that both sets of people are here and really excited that we always have a mix of veterans and newbies. It's really cool to see how the community is growing and changing. So intros. This is me. I'm one of two of your user group leaders, so here's all my kind of details. I like to start off with kind of my Tableau cred here. So I am a desktop certified professional and a qualified associate. I'm extremely honored and proud to call myself a data visualization consultant. I work for Slalom, which is a local consulting firm. I have a data viz blog. It's jackson2.com, so if you want to find any musings about me and my data journeys, you can go there. A lot of what I do for the Tableau community extends beyond Phoenix, and you'll find that in the Twitter universe. When you think about Tableau, that's where a lot of the global community lies. So feel free to follow my Twitter. It's professional. I don't post anything weird on there. Maybe like a cat picture, but that's the extent of like off topic to Tableau or data visualization in general. If you want to keep it more like a professional networking, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a great opportunity. A lot of folks will actually connect with me via LinkedIn and ask me, hey, when's the next user group? That's a really easy way in for us to chat offline and for you to get dialed into our local user group community. There's a couple different channels that the user group is housed in. One of them is a LinkedIn group. That's probably where it's most prominent and easy, but we also have a Tableau community forum, and again, we have Twitter. There's a couple different channels and different ways to interact. The key is that you just use one of them. And then if you want to email me about anything, it's just my name, ann.jackson@slalom.com. I'm happy to return your email.
All right.
All you.
All me. The other half of the user group, Michael Perillo. I am a desktop qualified associate, Tableau server certified professional. I also run two other user groups in the Valley, Phoenix Alteryx user group, which is a partner of Tableau's, more on the data analytics platform, spatial, predictive analytics, does a lot of great integration with Tableau, Power BI. Power BI being the other user group that I run. We'll be starting up next month, so if in your organizations you have a mix of different analytical platforms, we'd love to see you at all the user groups. Tuesdays are here, Thursdays are also here, Wednesdays, which will be the Power BI, that'll be somewhere else, again, starting next month. But please follow us on social media. If you have any questions, please contact us. Make sure you network during the breaks, get to know your fellow Tableau ninjas, and glad you made it here.
Okay. So what's on the agenda for today? So for those of you that are new, what usually happens is the first hour is sort of reserved where I do kind of a community update that's just like what's going on in the Tableau universe. And then what we've been doing this entire year is this kind of segment that I call Get Tableau Fit. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll break right before 7 o'clock. We'll do networking, bio break, that kind of thing. And when we come back, we actually have two speakers tonight. One is Layla, who's sitting over here. She's going to give us a very beautiful, well thought out 20-minute dial-in presentation on table calculations, lovingly called One Table Calculation to Rule Them All. And then Ariel will come on and talk to us about a data project that's specific to in the public sector. Really excited that it's all women tonight to an extent, so give yourselves a round of applause for that. Yeah. Okay, So, community update. Just so everyone is aware, we are trying something new. It's our inaugural Viz Club, and it's going to be this Saturday. So what a Viz Club is, this is kind of a concept that other people have tried and it's been really successful. This Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. here in this building, not in this room, I think it's room 425, it's on the invite. There's space for 30 people to kind of hackathon style come in with your laptop, either work on a data problem that you have, increase your Tableau skill by doing some of the Workout Wednesdays or Makeover Mondays. If you want to just see other people use Tableau, that's fine. There's no agenda. It's not like a pure doctor session. I would say that it's very collaborative, but it's a great opportunity for you to hang out. It's in and out too. I know this sounds kind of weird, but don't feel like if you don't come in at 10 that you can't come in. Someone will be in the room for the entire period of time. Free to attend, to sign up. Here's the bit.ly to make it really easy to come. And then here is the actual Eventbrite link. Both of those will work and get you to the same spot. It has more details, but the key is if I kind of selfishly want to put this on because I've fallen behind on some of my Workout Wednesdays and my Makeover Mondays, and I know how much it can impact me, so I want to have that catch-up session. So this is a great structured time that you put on your calendar to get stuff done. So I encourage you to come and hang out with us. The other thing I want to talk to you about is more, again, Tableau Global. A lot of times people ask me, like, how do I connect more with my peers in Tableau? And one way to do that is through Tableau Public's Slack community. How many of you are familiar with Slack? Okay, that's a decent amount of you. So yeah, it's just like an organizational communication platform, really straightforward. Tableau has set it up so that anyone can join. This is their bit.ly. The nice thing is there's a community of more than 500 individuals who are active on Tableau Public. There are specific channels for what I'll talk about probably ad nauseum by the time tonight's over. Makeover Monday, Workout Wednesday. There are Tableau ambassadors and Tableau Zen masters. So those are the people in the global community that know the answers to your questions because they've been doing it forever. They're there. You can literally tag them. It's amazingly powerful to think that you can walk away from this, and if you're someone in the healthcare industry and you have a burning question for Jonathan Drummy, who's a Zen master and has spent several years in the healthcare industry, you can tag him in Slack and he will reply to you. So I encourage you to take that away. If you're looking for a place for it to be kind of all in one spot, you want one app to look at Tableau stuff, to feel in the know, this could be your kind of Tableau news stream. I would love to see the Phoenix Tableau User Group presence be felt on this Slack community. And then always our 2017 events list. So I mentioned the Viz Club, that's this Saturday, I believe May 20th. And then we will have, as always, our monthly meeting. So our June meeting is June 15th, every third Thursday. The event link is live, you can do that now. I don't know if we ever say this, but it's always the same thing here. It's not very creative, but it's just Phoenix Tug, the year, and then the month. So if you're ever like sitting at your computer and you're like, you know what, when is the next one? It's June now, just type in the 2017-06, or you can always Google it and you'll get there. And then Viz Club is going to continue, and that URL is also very similar. It's just PHX Viz Club, then the year, and then the month to get there and register. The key takeaway is for the rest of 2017, every third Thursday will be like this. And if we do a Viz Club, it will be the Saturday that follows suit with it. And then next month, we're going to continue getting Tableau Fit. That's going to continue throughout the rest of the year. I think we've seen a lot of positive benefits from that, and what I would love to see is that as we continue, more and more of you guys show up and have worked through it, or we can hands-on do these things for that first hour. And then we'll have Charles come in. He's sitting in the back over here. And he's given me the name of this, so these are his words. He'll be talking about embracing stupid questions and how he uses Tableau to embrace those stupid questions, answer those stupid questions, and kind of learn from it. So he's got some sage advice on that front. Okay, so I think I have like 4 more slides, and then we'll get into Tableau, which I know is what everyone really wants to do. So I always talk about this. If you're trying to get better at Tableau, that's a question I get all the time. How do I get better at Tableau? How do I learn about Tableau? Everyone sees the power of data visualization, or they're being asked to use Tableau at work. Number one thing I always say is go to tableau.com. There's a learning section. There's videos. feel free to do them. If you want something more than that, that's where you start looking to the community for opportunities to grow. So there's 3 things I always promote. The first is Makeover Monday, then Workout Wednesday, and then Viz for Social Good. So Makeover Monday, it's a weekly social project, very easy for a new user. Essentially there's 2 people that facilitate this. The first is Andy Kriebel. He is a Tableau Zen master. He's based out of London. And then there's also Ava Murray. So these are their Twitter handles. That's the Twitter hashtag. There is a website. You Google Makeover Monday, you'll get there. Essentially what happens is every Sunday they will post a data journalism article, a data set, a corresponding visualization, and they will redo it. They will make it over to answer the question differently, answer it in a better way visually, and then they will pass on that data to the community. The great thing about these data sets, and this has existed all of last year and this year, so 52 plus, I think we're at week 20 or 21 this year, so you've got about 70 plus data sets to work with. They're cleansed, they're prep. You can see what people are doing. If you're feeling uninspired, you can start touching the same data set as someone across the world, see how they approached it, and get a lot smarter from it. I always encourage everyone to do that. And then there's Workout Wednesday, also Andy Kriebel, and then he has a peer. So he is out of the data school, the Information Lab, which is based in UK, which is kind of like a premier Tableau consulting firm over the pond. He facilitates this with Emma White. And Workout Wednesday, I would tell you, is more tactical, more functional. It's, here's a dashboard I built, usually based on experience. Can you rebuild it exactly the same way as me? They post their results, but they kind of give you some specs, and that's what we'll spend our time doing. We go through the specs and we try to figure it out. They've changed throughout the year. I'd say towards the beginning, they were maybe a little bit more challenging, maybe 2+ hours. There have been a couple short ones. There have been some crazy, like, pull your hair out ones. But the takeaway here is that you will absolutely always learn something new and have an aha moment when you go through them. We'll do it tonight. There'll be a couple aha moments. I'll point out the ones that I feel are like aha, and maybe we'll hear some ahas as we go around. And then the last one that I always talk about is, let's say that you don't want to Viz for yourself. You don't want to get better just to get better. There is a project called Viz for Social Good that is facilitated by Chloe Zhang. So again, Twitter handle, hashtag, again, this is just the Twitter world. Website, vizforsocialgood.com. Kind of a hybrid approach to like Makeover Monday. So this is, hey, here's a nonprofit organization's data set, so maybe UNICEF, and we would like you to visualize our data for some sort of project, you know, maybe some sort of promotional material, whatever it is. And then, so they ask the community to participate, and then there is some sort of like cred. You know, you get at the end of it, like if you're chosen, your Viz is chosen, and then UNICEF puts it in their program to talk about for every child. So there's some benefit to that. But the kind of point is, if you had to selfishly choose one, there's absolutely no good reason not to use your data visualization talents for social good. You can't deny the children. Okay, so that's kind of how you get Tableau fit. How we do it inside the next 30 minutes is by going over Workout Wednesdays. And I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to show the hyperlinks really quickly. I want to ask, how many of you tried the 2 workouts that were sent out? Got a couple of you. How many of you were able to solve them? Wait, did I see any hands on that? Ish?
In progress.
Okay, so this is great. Let me go ahead and switch modes here. So let's go here. So the 2, we're going to start with this one, and if we get to the second one, that'll be great. The ones that you guys started, did anyone tackle this one first, number 18, this appearing and disappearing vizzes? You did? Okay, cool. So that's what we're going to start with. Again, the point of this is just to be very hands-on. So the structure of Workout Wednesday is Andy takes, I think, the odd weeks, and Emma takes the even weeks. This is week 18. So you can kind of see, this are the specs that she says is the goal of this is to do appearing and disappearing vises. Here's her GIF. I'll show you mine if I have it. I think it's a little bit bigger. So essentially what this is a single dashboard with buttons to switch which sheet is present on the dashboard at any given time. You could kind of think of this as almost like a custom portal, if you will. But this could be very useful if you have some people that are new to the world of Tableau and you want to make it super user-friendly, and you also kind of want to direct them into how they should be looking at different types of data. So this is what we're going to be building. And if I scroll down, here is kind of Emma's specs for this. Your challenge this week is to recreate this. Here are some rules. Each icon in the menu should display the corresponding viz on the dashboard when clicked. When unselected, the viz should disappear. Each viz should look exactly like mine. And I will tell you, if you post these on Twitter when you do your results, Andy and Emma are very specific about actually going in, and they will go to your Tableau public site. They will download your workbook down to the T, and they'll say, yeah, you did this wrong, or you did this right. You'll get called out, but it'll be in a good way. I mean, down to like, you didn't type the tooltip correctly. So your tooltips should also match mine. And then she gives us some hints here. Our category chart profit is on color. The category chart profit's on color. On the map, sales is on color. So those are those two. They will switch. So this is profit on the color, and then sales on the map here. And then she gives us the nice warm and fuzzy of the size of the dashboard. So the data set for this one is everyone's favorite Superstore data set. So I'm going to walk you through this start to finish. This is how I would approach it. And then we can have my finished version that we can talk about as we progress. So how I would approach this is the first thing she says is we've got to have these three charts. We've got to have this sales by category, the sales by state, and the sales over time. So step one for me would be to make those. So we have sales by category. And I encourage you to do this on the fly with me. If you have a copy of Tableau Public or Tableau, again, we're using the sample store data set that comes bundled with it. As I drag, you can drag with me. So we've got category, we've got subcategory, and we've got sales. If we double click, Tableau does not do us a solid and makes us a crosstab. We don't want that. We want a bar chart. There's our view. And then we heard that profit was on color. So this is how I would go through and set up the view. You'll notice that as I did this, I dragged out exactly where I wanted everything to go. If you are new to Tableau, and I'm going to click this button, I'm going to clear the sheet, you could probably get to the same place by control clicking. We'll see what happens, I'm not really sure. Doing this, and then going to show me, and then clicking a bar chart. So we get to the same thing. So in that world, you're new to Tableau, you're trying to figure out what the visualization should be. Pick your different fields, your dimensions, your category, your subcategory, and then pick your measure. Tell Tableau you want a bar chart and see what happens. And then the last thing is profit. I don't know what happens when we double click, but we can see. So it pulled it out, second axis, not what we want, but she told us it's on color, so we can just drag it back. The last thing I know that it is it's sorted. So we can sort either at the top here, top down, or you can do it here. I like to call that visual sorting. So that's our first view. Then we have our second one, which is sales by state. Already exists. Okay, so sales by state. Lazy way to build this, double click on state. I found when you work with Tableau and you have some sort of geospatial dimension, start with that first when you bring it onto the view so that it starts going into this map mode first. If you bring sales on and then you bring on the state, you might get to Tableau outthinking you and building a bar chart. So it's best to start with that geospatial dimension. So we've got state on there, and then let's go ahead and double click on sales. So default Tableau behavior, right? Symbol map, it had, the first was just the dots with the states. Now it's got the sum of sales for each individual state on size. We don't want that. We want it to be a filled map on color. We can click the show me to switch it. The other thing I always do, and I think I've mentioned this before, is when you get to a view that you like and you can't figure out how to recreate it, one of the keys is always to figure out where on your shelves different things are. So countries on detail, states on detail, the sum of sales is on color. It says it's on automatic, but you can see the field map icon, and then we have our generated latitude and longitude up there. Okay, moving right along. This isn't even like the good part yet. So then the last one is, was it sales over time? Okay. Let's just be careful there. Okay. So maybe how you would build this originally is you would say, okay, I want my time dimension. For the sake of this, it's the order date. So if we double click, we throw it on there. It's blue, it's discrete, it's categorical to an extent, it's defaulting to year. We double click on sales. Again, we're in this table format. We could switch it to line. And that's getting better, right? Like we have it by year. So then we know Tableau does this as solid and does a hierarchy of those. So we can just plus through to get to the month. I think that that represents what she has there. Okay. So none of this in and of itself is revolutionary. This is like Tableau basic, the beginning stuff. The real magic comes in when you have these different icons and how you want to make them. So first, let's go ahead and let's build the first one, which is the sales by category icon. Now what's interesting is, based on my experience, I have a good idea of what the components of this are. But if you don't, you might not necessarily think that this is something easy to do. But if we thought through it, we could get there pretty quickly by just thinking about putting a shape on the sheet. And kind of further to that point, one other thing we can do is let's go ahead and create a calculated field. I'm going to call this sales by category 2. And this is just going to be simple, new field, I'm generating, adding to my data. I'm calling it sales by category 2 because I already have one from before. Simple, just string in quotes there. Go ahead and click OK. And if I drag this onto the detail shelf, it's there. Now, automatic Tableau behavior right now is that it's a square, but if I change it to a shape, then I can start to manipulate what this is. She says icon. In my mind, that means shape. So once you've got it set on shape, you can go in and you can select your shape. Now, at this point, you're going to have to bring in a custom shape. So I'll pause. How many of you have used custom shapes in Tableau? Okay, a couple of you. Really straightforward. Essentially what you will do is you can, I will show you where those are at. Find a ping on the internet, make sure you have privileges to use it, or I like to use PowerPoint to some extent, like build my own icons from scratch, like if they're basic shapes. If you go to your My Tableau repository, which you can get by going to File, My Tableau repository, you will see a spot called Shapes. This is where you're going to add those images. These are the default ones that come in there. So there's the arrow, the bars, and so on, and then you'll get to the custom shapes. Right now it's selecting the folder, but if I were in just kind of my Windows Explorer, you would see all those icons. What that turns out to do is you can get here, and once you drop them in there, they will be available as your custom shapes. So this is probably one of the aha moments of, oh my gosh, I can bring in a custom icon that might be useful for my organization to start using it. We'll use what I've already brought in to save time. I think it was like a checklist. I don't know if I even see it. There it is. And we'll click apply. This is really nice. Pro tip, if you bring in new shapes to your shape folder, you don't need to restart Tableau. If you reload shapes, it will start adding in new shapes as you do them. You may have to reload it a couple of times. I've noticed that sometimes you'll reload it and you'll assign that shape and it'll be the shape to the left or to the right of it, and it's kind of funky behavior, so just be mindful of that. Okay. So we've got our shape icon now, and let's just do entire view. So that's the start of this, and then the next thing we want to do is we want to add the label. So remember, this is what we're tracking towards here, is a checklist with sales by category below it. To get to that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to control-click drag that same field onto label, so you can see it's now right here on the right. If we go to label, we can change the alignment, we want to center it, we want to put it at the bottom, and we want to make it really big. Again, we're just setting up the view. We haven't done any of the cool icon magic yet. This is just getting, like we haven't done any of the navigation yet. This is just getting us to our first thing. What's nice is from here, to get to the other two icons, what I would do is I would duplicate the sheet, and then I would just make my sales by state field, just so you guys see it. Here it is. And I did this the first time. I actually aliased this, so it's going to say sales by state there, but no, when I bring it on, it will be aliased to say sales by state. And then I would just do the same thing here, and I would change the shape to the globe. Is everyone with me so far? Is this still a good pace? Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'll rename this. So this is sales by state icon. And then let's do the last one. And this is sales over time icon. So same thing. Let's make another field. Let's call it sales over time. Let's throw it on text. Let's throw it on the detail. So notice how much time we're saving here by duplicating that sheet. The formatting is exactly the same. The label is in the same spot. We don't have to do that over and over again once we get it right the first time. We just have to change the shape in the field, which is pretty slick. I think it's this one. Okay. So that's the setup. Recap quickly. We've got our 3 visualizations. We've got our 3 icons. And now we want to get to the magic part of actually setting up the action. And remember, this is what we're tracking toward. Here it is. It actually set up. So this is a dashboard. This is what I pre-created. You click on this. It shows that viz. You unclick. It goes away. Same thing. Click, unclick, click, unclick. So we've got to do that clicking part. Here's our new dashboard. Let's bring out our sales by category icon, and then let's bring out the actual viz itself. Let's get rid of this. Now this is actually where it's like super duper easy. All you need to do is go to dashboard, actions. Let's add an action. We'll call it filter, and let's just call it the sales by category. So we want the trigger to be this sales by category icon, and we want it to only act on the sales by category viz. We want it to run on select, so that's on click. Now the best part here is that we can get it to mimic this by just changing what the clearing the selection will do. So default Tableau behaviors typically show all the values. So that means you click on a filter, it filters to that thing. You unclick, it shows all the values, it unfilters. You can also leave it static, which there's a use case for that. Let's say you only want them to click on one thing at a time, so they choose something, but then they unchoose it. You don't want to show them everything. You want to direct them to choose another thing. And then the last world is you only want to show them the data when they've actually clicked on it. Otherwise, you don't want to show them anything. So you can actually exclude all values. So let's go ahead and see what happens. I click, I unclick, that's it. There's the magic, guys. When I did this the first time, and I will show you, I overbuilt. Shock here. What I did, just to be kind of comfortable, was I brought that same field, that stream field, out onto detail to my viz to make sure when I did that filter action, it knew that that data element was on that other sheet, but you don't even need to have that. You can, but you don't have to. And so that's pretty much it. You would do the same thing, and we can do that. We can go through, we can add the sales by state icon and the sales by state viz and set up the actions for each one. Again, at this point, it's kind of rinse and repeat. The aha moment was found, right? When you go through this, you'll want to be sure that you are being very specific on the source sheet and the target sheets. You don't want to overdo it, so I'll show you how that could go awry here. So let's keep it on everything. So in this world, I've got my sales by state icon, and I've got all of these, and I go to this world of exclude. If I click on this, and then I unclick, everything's going to go away. So when you do that, you know, you've set your actions to go too deep. We can even go back and kind of undo it. That might be easier. Let's go to that world. Set up our actions again. Let's edit this. And so this is kind of just be mindful of when you're setting your targets where they should go. And you'll go from there. Now, when you look at what Emma has here, and let me actually show you this view, you'll notice that it's really, the way I did the different actions was very specific. I did them in a specific order. I clicked and I unclicked. That was so that you wouldn't see kind of the difference here. But this is a world of float, which means that if I click on each of these, they're actually floating on top of each other. They're layered on the dashboard. So in this world, all three of these buttons are checked. All three of the vises are actually displayed underneath. You can't see them. I think you could maybe see it a little bit in Emma's. It wasn't like precise, like that's a little bit of the ghosting of it. But that would be option one. You float it, you set each sheet to a specific size, you set the layering so there's always only going to be one. But a different way you might want to do it, and even more specific to how I like to develop, is in a world of tiled. So when you're in tile mode, that means everything is trying to fill a certain space. There's boxes. You're not floating out somewhere. It's structured, it's tied down. So what you could do instead is use layout containers here. So this is what I was showing you before, that tiled view. You probably saw the title when I did it. I click on one, it takes up that full layout container. I unclick, same basic thing, but I can also click on multiples. This is actually really useful when you have a dashboard. You may only want to show additional detail when someone clicks on something else. So you could very much imagine a world where maybe you don't have these icons at the top, but you start and you show them a full wide bar chart. And then they say, oh, you know what, I want to know where my chairs are selling across the United States. The action is I click on the chairs bar chart. The result is I show the map. They unclick, I don't want to show the map. I don't need that level of detail. They're going to drive back and do it. So this is a great way to start building out and deciding what you want your end users to see and to not take up a whole bunch of space. The basic functionality on that is that you will have a layout container. So layout containers are blue, and it's taking up this whole space. And then you will drag each individual sheet into that layout container. And for this to work, each sheet has to be set to entire view. Now, one thing you need to know, and I will show you here, is if you display the title on these, and you try to do that same thing, the title will always display. So you want to make sure that you hide your titles on these so that it will no longer take up that space, right? I might have kind of broken it in this world, but you can set it up like that. So now it's only going to show when we click on it. That kind of demonstrates in my mind the advantages to tile and how it's different than float, and maybe how you can use layout containers. So 2, maybe 3 aha moments in here is 1, how to use dashboard actions and just change that resultant to exclude all values to really demonstrate and change how your users interact with it, and the second being the difference between float and tiled and how you can use a layout container to your advantage, knowing that you probably have limited space. Any questions, comments, thoughts on this? Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
When you put the layout container on there, did you take off all the other sheets and then you put it on there?
I did, yeah. So that's one thing I think Tableau could get better at, but yes, the way I would set it up, and I'll start from scratch here, is let's have each of our icons, and we'll toss them on, we'll put them here. To use a layout container, probably to the best of its capabilities, you're gonna bring it on as an object. I really don't like how these are labeled. For some reason, the horizontal and vertical, like there's pictures here, I only look at the picture to say, okay, and I know it's really small, but this is sheet next to a sheet in horizontal space. For some reason, I think that I'm like displaying them horizontally, but this is the one you want to use. The vertical would go downward, so you'll drag that on. Let's see if I can get it to go down. If it does that, so it's trying to be cool, we will just drag this one over so that it's now like stacked on top of it, so that we get to that same kind of view that I had before, where now this layout container is taking up that bottom space. Let me make this a little bit smaller. And then yes, I would drag in each of these sheets and put them in there next to each other. And you'll see, like, you'll know that you've got it going, because you'll see that blue outline. If you ever get lost or you're not sure, you can go to this layout section here, and it actually shows you all the different objects and their order in there. It can get to be a little bit messy because it likes to add layout containers on the fly. Sometimes you'll get to the end of this and be like, I have 20 layout containers. How did this happen? What? And you'll start deleting them and you're like, this is never going to stop. So be mindful of that. The horizontal layout containers, they just love to come on the screen, but that's what you want. You want it to be in this view where you've got a layout container that is defining the space. It is tiled, so it's going to take up this amount of space as long as these things are here, and these are horizontally in there. And then again, last step, hide those titles so that then you can use those actions to use the space to whatever you want.
So you go in and hide the individual sheets.
The titles. So we would just uncheck that. Yep. You can also do it like this if you click on, oh, maybe you can't. There's like 6 different ways to do things. Usually I probably right click and hide title, but you can do the caret as well. And then this is a layout container as well. You can tell it's a layout container because it takes up that full space. And then you just trash that. And that would get you to the same functionality in the end.
How'd you get it so one of them goes away so that only one of them appears?
Yeah, so you will want to set each of these to entire. Okay. And then the map will always fit the space. You don't have flexibility there. And then let's set up our actions here. And I'll set up our first one again. This is our sales by category. It's that guy. We've got it set to exclude on select. And then when I click on that, that will now go away. So just by the sake of it being in that layout container, and when we say exclude all the values, it no longer has that data value, it has nothing to show, it just goes away. Any other questions about this one? Anyone think that it would be useful, that they could see a case for doing this at work? Yeah?
Maybe I'm getting away from the main scope of this, but how can you manage the placement of the legend for the sales by category if you show that the legend comes up?
Yeah, so
in the right place?
That's a great question. It depends on what you're doing. I'll tell you that my experience tends to dictate that I go to a world of tiled where you put everything in one spot. There's a little bit of a disconnect. It's very small, not very noticeable when you go to server on where things are going to display. So I always recommend tile as much as possible. In terms of where you place the legend, so if you click on this little caret here, you'll get to the spot where you have the legend, and we can show it again. It's going to come out tiled. This might be one thing where if you click on just the legend and you do the little caret, I might actually be okay with floating this and deciding where it needs to go. I would probably never put a color legend on the dashboard unless I felt like my users required it to be competent in understanding what it is. What I would be more likely to do, and it doesn't necessarily work well because we're hiding the title, but I would put some sort of indicator that says, orange means negative and blue means positive. So that the visual encoding, the color encoding, yeah, we're not using red-green because that's colorblind and really hard on the eyes, but make it really obvious. Or let's say you live in a world where really you only want to show the losers, those that are unprofitable. Make everything that's profitable gray and just highlight the red. Then it's really obvious. You kind of entice your users to go deeper to say, why are these red versus the gray? And they can kind of figure it out themselves. That way they'll be much closer to the data and kind of feel it much more deeply than if you gave them a legend. They're going to be kind of lazy about it. That's my personal data viz opinion, but legends can kind of clutter things up, and it can be tough too if you have color doing multiple things. So that's another thing, is use it for the same things throughout, right? If we had that same thing, I would recommend putting the same colors on the state, but just call it out. I think a one-liner is probably good enough if they're going to use it multiple times. But float it, you can totally float it. It's one little tiny thing to float. Any other questions about this one? Okay, so we only have 5 more minutes till the networking break, so I don't think we're going to get to the next one in 5 minutes unless I go super rapid. So any other kind of final questions or comments on this? All right, well then I will challenge you. If you want to try out Workout Wednesday number 17 during the next 15 minutes, and I guarantee you it is accomplishable in 15 minutes. That's what this looks like. If you want to do this during the break, I will give you a t-shirt when you come back. So we'll break until like 6:55. Come back, be in your seat, but we'll really start at 7. Okay? Cool.